answer is preposterous and laughable. We're smart enough to know that wealthy 22-year-old kids don't get rich investing in mutual funds and stashing money in their 401ks from their job at the cell phone store. We know that people who get rich young fall into a unique subset of society: pro athletes, rappers, actors, entertainers, and famous people. Those of us outside this demography are left with the traditional advice showered upon us by financial experts. It's called get rich slow and sounds something like this. Go to school, get good grades, graduate, get a good job, invest in the stock market, max out your 401k, cut up your credit cards, and clip coupons. Then someday, when you are, 65 years old, you will be rich. Get rich slow is a losing game. Part 1. Wealth in a WCL Chai R. Get rich slow is gay tirish old. The Millionaire Fastlane isn't about being retired old with millions, but about redefining wealth to include youth, fun, freedom, and prosperity. Take this comment posted on the Fastlane forum. If the journey devours 50 years of your life, is it worth it? A 50-year road to wealth isn't compelling, and because of it, few succeed, and those who do settle for financial freedom in life's twilight. The problem with accepted norms of retirement is what you do not see. You don't see youth, you don't see fun, and you don't see the realization of dreams. The golden years aren't golden at all, but a waiting room for death. If you want financial freedom before the Grim Reaper hits the on-deck circle, get rich slow isn't the answer. If you want to retire young with health, vibrancy, and hair, you're going to need to ignore society's default get-rich-slow roadmap and the gurus spoon-feeding you the slop in the trough. There is another way. Chapter Summary. Fast Lane Distinctions. Get rich slow demands a long life of gainful employment. Get rich slow is a losing game because it is codependent on Wall Street and anchored by your time. The real golden years of life are when you're young, sentient, and vibrant. 2. How I screwed get rich slow. The object of life is not to be on the side of the masses, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. Marcus Aurelius. Exposing the get rich slow dream killer. As a teenager, I never gave myself a chance of becoming wealthy young. Wealth plus youth was an equation that didn't compute simply because I didn't have the physical capabilities. Common roads to wealth for the young are competitive and require talent. Become an actor, a musician, an entertainer, or a pro athlete. All roads that had a big road closed sign that laughed, "Not a chance, MJ." So early in life, I conceded. I gave up on my dreams. Get rich slow made it abundantly clear. Go to school, get a job, settle for less, sacrifice, be miserly and quit dreaming about financial freedom, mountainside homes, and exotic cars. But I still dreamed. It's what teenage boys do. For me, it was all about the cars, specifically the Lamborghini Countach, the 90 seconds that changed my life. I grew up in Chicago and was a porky kid with few friends. I wasn't interested in teenage girls or sports, but lying around in a beanbag stuffing my face with donuts while watching Tom and Jerry reruns. Parental supervision was absent. Mom divorced Dad years earlier, which left my older siblings and me to be raised by a single mother. Mom didn't have a college education or a career, unless a deep-frying job at Kentucky Fried Chicken qualified. That left me to my own indulgences, usually consumption of sweets and the latest episode of the A-Team. My exertions were epitomized by a long broken broomstick. I used it as the TV's remote control since the real one was broken and I was too lazy to move. When I did move, the local ice cream shop was often my target. A sugary delight was a motive I could count on. That day was like any other day. I sought ice cream. I plotted the flavor of my next indulgence and headed toward the ice cream parlor. When I arrived, there it was. I was face to face with my dream car, a Lamborghini Countach famous from the 80s hit movie Cannonball Run. Parked stoically like an omnipotent king, I gazed upon it like a worshiper beholden to its god. Awestruck, any thoughts of ice cream were banished from my brain. Posterized on my bedroom walls and drooled upon in my favorite car magazines, I was acutely familiar with the Lamborghini Countach. Cunning, evil, obscenely fast, spaceship doors, and ungodly expensive. Yet here it was, just a few feet away, like Elvis resurrected. Its raw, tangible grandeur was like an artisan coming face to face with an authentic Monet. The lines, the curves, the smell. I gawked for a few minutes until a young man left the ice cream parlor and headed toward the car. Could this be the owner? No way. He couldn't have been more than 25 years old. Dressed in blue jeans and an oversized flannel shirt with what I spied to be an Iron Maiden concert shirt underneath, I reasoned this couldn't be the owner. I expected an old guy, wrinkled, receding gray hairline, and dressed 2 seasons late. Not so. What the heck, I thought. How could a young guy afford such a kick-ass automobile? For God's sake, that car costs more than the house I live in. It's got to be a lottery winner, I speculated. Or maybe some rich kid who inherited the family fortune? No, it's a pro athlete. Yes, that's it, I concluded. Suddenly, a daring thought invaded my head. Hey, MJ, why don't you ask the guy what he does for a living? Could I? I stood on the sidewalk, dumbfounded while I negotiated with myself. Emboldened and overcome with adrenaline, I found my legs moving toward the car as if my brain weren't agreeable. In the back of my mind, my brother taunted, "Danger, Will Robinson, danger!" Sensing my approach, the owner hid his trepidation with a forced smile and opened his door. Whoa. The car's door flung up into the sky, vertically, as opposed to swinging out sideways like a normal car. It threw me off what little game I had, and I tried to maintain my composure, as if cars with futuristic doors were standard fare. What couldn't have been more than 20 words seemed like a novel. My opportunity was here, and I snatched it. "Excuse me, sir?" I nervously muttered, hoping he wouldn't ignore me. "May I ask what you do for a living?" Relieved that I wasn't a teenage derelict, the owner kindly responded, "I'm an inventor." Perplexed that his answer didn't match my preconception, my prepared follow-up questions were nullified, paralyzing my next move. I stood there frozen like the ice cream I had sought minutes earlier. Sensing the opportunity for escape, the young Lamborghini owner took the driver's seat, closed his door, and started the engine. The loud roar of the exhaust swept through the parking lot, alerting the liberation from fame and talent. What changed that day? I was exposed to the fast lane and a new truth. As for the sweets I pursued that day, I never made it into the store. I turned around and went home with a new reality. I wasn't athletic, I couldn't sing, and I couldn't act, but I could get rich without fame or without physical talent. From that point forward, things changed. The Lamborghini encounter lasted 90 seconds, but transcended a lifetime of new beliefs, directions, and choices. I decided that I would someday own a Lamborghini, and I would do it while I was young. I was unwilling to wait until my next encounter, my next chance experience, and my next poster. I wanted it for myself. Yes, I retired the broomstick and got off my fat ass. The search for the Millionaire Fastlane. After the Lamborghini encounter, I made a conscious effort to study young millionaires who weren't famous or physically talented. But I wasn't interested in all millionaires, just those who lived a rich, extravagant lifestyle. This examination led me to study a limited, obscure group of people, a small subset of fameless millionaires who met these criteria. 1. They were living a rich lifestyle or were capable of such. I wasn't interested in hearing from frugal millionaires who lived next door in the middle class. 2. They had to be relatively young, under 35, or they had to have acquired wealth fast. I wasn't interested in people who spent 40 years of their life jobbing and penny pinching their way to millions. I wanted to be rich young, not old. 3. They had to be self-made. I was broke. Silver spoon winners of the lucky sperm lottery weren't invited to my lab. 4. Their riches couldn't be from fame, physical talent, playing pro ball, acting, singing, or entertaining. I sought millionaires who would have started like me, an average guy without any special skill or talent, who somehow made it big. Through high school and college, I religiously studied this millionaire divergence. I read magazines, books, and newspapers, and watched documentaries of successful businessmen. Anything that provided insight into this small subset of millionaires, I absorbed it. Unfortunately, this zest to uncover the secret to fast wealth led me to Part 1, We often bapwich elchai are. Get rich slow is G.T. Rich O. eld all life forms to the Lamborghini's formidable presence. Whether I liked it or not, the conversation was over. Knowing it might be years before such a sight would happen again, I took mental inventory of the automotive unicorn before me. I left awakened as a neural pathway suddenly smacked open in my brain. Appointments. I was a late-night infomercial marketer's dream come true. Gullible, willing, and armed with a credit card. I bought into countless opportunities from one tiny classified ad to the Asian real estate mogul and his sexy bikini-clad yacht vixens. None of them delivered wealth, and despite the slick commercials and their claims, the large-breasted models never materialized. As I fed my appetite for knowledge and endured one odd job after another, my research uncovered some remarkable common denominators. I was confident I had uncovered all the components to the Millionaire Fastlane and fameless wealth. I was determined to become rich young, and the journey would begin after college graduation. Little did I know what lay ahead: the roadblocks, the detours, and the mistakes. Resistance into mediocrity. I graduated from Northern Illinois University with 2 business degrees. College was a 5-year prenatal employee brainwashing, with graduation as the overrated climax. I viewed college as indoctrination into corporate droneship, an unfulfilled marriage between me and a life of jobs, bosses, and being overworked and underpaid. My friends were hired for great jobs and bragged about it. I work for Motorola. I got a job at Northwestern Insurance. Hertz Rental Cars hired me as a training manager. While I was happy for them, my friends bought into the Slowlane lie. Me? Thanks but no thanks. I sought to avoid the slow lane like a medieval plague. My idea was to find the fast lane, retire rich, and retire young. Roadblocks, detours, and depression. Despite the confidence, the next few years fell horribly short of my expectations. I lived with my mother as I bounced from one business venture to another. Success was absent. Every month was a different business. Vitamins, jewelry, some hot turnkey marketing program purchased from the back of a business magazine, or some goofy long-distance network marketing gig. Despite the hard work, my record of failures grew, as did my mounting debts. Years passed and folly fermented as I was forced to take a series of Neanderthal jobs that crippled my ego. A busboy at a Chinese restaurant. Yes, there are cockroaches in the back. A day laborer in the slums of Chicago. Pizza delivery boy, flower delivery boy, dispatcher, limo driver, early morning newspaper delivery for the Chicago Tribune, Subway sandwich restaurant salesman, WTF, Sears stock clerk in the freaking drapery department, charity can collector, and house painter. The only thing worse than these shitty jobs and their pay, the hours, most 11 part 1. We all than a WHIR, get reich slow is Jeet reich OLD required a pre-dawn start. 3 a.m., 4 a.m. If any ungodly hour was involved, you could bet my job required it. 5 years of college and I graduated to live like a dairy farmer. Hell, money was so tight that I prostituted myself to an older woman to pay for my best friend's wedding gift. Yes, cougars preyed in the 1990s. Meanwhile, my friends progressed in their careers. They got their 4% yearly pay increases. They bought their Mustangs and Acuras and their 1,200 square foot townhouses. They appeared to be content and lived the expectant life preordained by society. They were normal and I wasn't. At 26 years old, I fell into depression. My businesses were not self-sufficient, and neither was I. Seasonal depression gnawed at my fractured psyche. Chicago's rainy, dark, dreary weather made me crave the comfort of a warm bed and tasty pastries. Accomplishments were preceded by sunshine, so yes, I wasn't accomplishing much. Tired of the high school dropout jobs, I struggled to get out of bed, and doubt became the daily affirmation. Physically, emotionally, and financially exhausted from failure, I knew my results weren't indicative of my true self. I knew the fast lane way to wealth, but just couldn't get it executed. What was I doing wrong? What was holding me back? After all these years of research,